Well, it's 7 o'clock and I've been awake for a little while. All of these spots were taken and mostly people were cowboy camping. I saw like a tent every now and then. Got in, like I said, it was 9 o'clock and I thought I'd seen a spot down over here somewhere. And as I was walking through, a lady in this spot here told me that this, where I'm at now, was about the flattest spot left. Took a little while to get. Got some water at the creek over there. Made dinner, laid down, and I didn't get to sleep for a little while. And then it's kind of slanted. Anyway, time to get my morning started. Just if anybody's interested, it was not easy setting up camp since my bag was up here and I was setting up there and kind of unloading things downhill to where I would get to them. And then I'd laid the pack next to these rocks to keep me from further sliding down. And the reason I didn't use my sleep pad is because it's so slick. Pretty sure within an hour of laying down I would have ended up on top of the guy down there. And that's just poor camp etiquette. Not getting fast out of here because I've been looking up information. The Shelley fire around Etna, definitely going to have to skip that. But I think I can get a couple 100 miles in before I have to skip. Then the Donamore fire up around the Syed Valley, the Oregon-California border. They seem to have that under control, so I don't think I'm going to have to skip for it. So now I'm just looking... Can I get to Bernie on a day that I can get into town, watch that movie, and then get back out? Or what? I'll figure out the timing of that as I get closer. Skipping Chester, I'm going to get by the highway early this morning. And my thought was, well, I could go in, find somebody with Wi-Fi, eat a chicken fried steak and eggs, and get back out. A lot of people have been getting sick in Chester, saying food poisoning, stomach flu. A lot of hikers are getting sick with vomiting and diarrhea, and a lot of locals. So I think I'm going to skip Chester, and I'm going to be real careful about anybody that comes out of Chester. And that's Soldier Creek, where I filled up last night, and I just grabbed another liter. I think it's like 6 or 7 miles to the next water, but I'm hoping since it's cool, and I just drank a liter, I won't need any more. And I camp down there. I don't know if the meadow has a name, but in the Dixie Fire, the bridge across Soldier Creek burned out. And my feet have been pretty much dry, so I might be taking my shoes off to get across. Coming from that way. Hikers this morning stirred up mud, and out there it looks fairly deep. And the bottom's questionable, so either wet shoes or wearing my camp shoes. Wet up over my knees, and that was with trying to find the shallowest spots along there. It was cold and the bottom was loose, slippy mud. So I hate wet shoes, but I'm glad I didn't slip and fall, get everything wet, lose a camp shoe, something like that. And it's going to be a long day. I'm sure my feet will dry out eventually. I've tried this a couple of times. Let me try it again. I'm trying to do a plan for the next week. And that's odd for me. Normally I'm next water source, next campsite to next campsite, next resupply to next resupply. So, the last 2 days, I did a 12 mile and a 27 mile. That's quite a range. I'm going to say average of 20. I know that's not exactly right, but you're watching a hiking video, not a math video. About 50 miles to Bernie. Or 50 miles to Old Station. Old Station has a cafe that is closed Mondays and Tuesdays. So I need to make it there. by 3 o'clock on Sunday to order lots of food. And I'll resupply, upload videos. The RV park has Wi-Fi. Charge $10 for it, so it ought to be fast. That's skipping Chester, of course. Then it's another like 30 or 40 miles to Bernie. So I'd leave Monday morning, get to Bernie, hopefully in time to catch the shuttle down to Redding. Get the cheapest hotel room I can for a couple of nights. I saw tickets for the Deadpool movie for Thursday. So if I can order one of those and have that, then I can catch the shuttle, Monday through Friday shuttle to Bernie on Friday. Having resupplied enough to get me up to Mount Shasta, and then I would skip around the Shelley fire. So I'm putting it down now, and we'll see how close things turn out to the original plan. Coming from that way. Legs aren't feeling 100%, but I'm sure they'll get better as the day goes forward. Pack feels light. Only got a couple of days left of food in it. So, having a plan for the week and not wanting to get vomiting and diarrhea made it easier to decide to skip Chester. Got there just a short circuit. A hiker I know said he'd been there for 45 minutes. And just as I got there, he got a ride. If that sign was still intact, it would tell you this is Dutch Hill Ditch. Brought water to the Dutch Hill mine operation. And heck of a ditch. I'm on an uphill stretch. And I think it's like 1.5 miles until I get some water. Getting a half mile of relatively flat, following an old logging road. See where they went? Through the rocks. This pond is the Stover Spring. And I want to say I might have camped over there. Anyway, water looks all right coming out of the pond. But I think there's a pipe over there that's the spring itself. You can see a little bit of a trail. See if I can go over there and get some water. I think it's like another 6 or 7 miles with a lot of uphill in between this water and next. So I'm going to drink as much as I can, carry as little as I think I can get away with. That's what I'm talking about. I feel like I would pick this for a location for a movie of some kind. Coming from that way. All the manzanita growing up amongst all the dead branches from, I guess, from the fire. Anyway, I took 2 bottles of water and I drank 2. Plan is, going that way, that every couple of miles I'll stop and drink a bottle of water because my clothing was soaked whenever I got there. I've been sweating a lot. It was making good time, except it took me quite a while at that water source. No view. I am in an area with live trees again. That's pretty nice. Going that way, coming down from there, that ended that uphill stretch. Got about 2.5 miles downhill to the next water. So I'm going to drink what water I have, so I'm ready to camel up. Because then it'll be a long stretch without water. Over there is the North Fork of the Feather River, and I need water, so looks like I can get down that way to get to it. Lots of tent sites over there. Let's get a look at this bridge and the river first. Might be an easier way to get down on the other side. I am glad. I was worried that it was going to be a little bit darker water. It looks pretty clear. It looks pretty easy to get down to it right over there. So I took a little break, drank a bottle of water, and took a bottle of water. Only one. It's 6 miles to the next water. I felt like I was making myself drink water before. 1,300 foot of uphill, but most of that's going to be in about 1.5 miles, a little bit further up, so we'll see how we do. Coming up from that way, I mentioned plan is to hit the boundary between Lassen National Forest and Lassen Volcanic National Park. Going that way and that way. And remember how light I said my backpack was this morning? It seems to have gotten heavy all of a sudden. Going up that way. Up there at the top, the tree's still alive. About halfway up, you can see that it's been burned. It's just completely charred down here. Just thought that was cool, and I stopped. Not that I stopped because I was just feeling worn out and then noticed that. Going up that way, going that way. Got about a 1/2 mile left, that 1.5 miles up. I'm feeling it. Coming over there. From up there, and that 1.5 miles of up is done. Now I've got like a 1/4 mile of down, 150 foot of elevation gain, and another 1/4 mile, and then just little ups and downs to the next water source. So I probably ought to stop and drink the last half of the bottle I have. Let me see if I can show you something. Do you see that? Today, twice I've had a grasshopper jump up and fly directly into one of my eyes. Once each eye. And how did that make me feel? You see them jumping? Well, top of another rise and another view. See the lake down there and the meadow. Looks really nice. Too bad I'm not going to be going down there and checking it out. The border for Lassen Volcanic Park is right over there, and that's the way I'm going. In the direction of Lassen. So I got here at 5:15. 10 minutes spent. Filtered a bottle of water and drank it, and looking at the camping situation. On the way in, the campground I planned on staying at, there's a sign saying that it's closed. Hazardous trees. Here's a stream. I'm a 1/4 mile from the border of Lassen. So I'm going to fill up because I think this is the best water for a ways. And go look at something cool and then make camp. Just a steep uphill, then a steep downhill. Before I can call it a day. That over there is Willow Lake, and it's looking more meadowy than lakey. But I did see a lot of dragonflies, so I hope they're eating every single mosquito out there. So now I have a 1/2 mile of less steep up, 1/2 mile less steep down. Well, I came from that way, and I'm going to go that way. I think that's about as close as I need to get. It is hot, and it reeks of sulfur, but it still smells better than I do. Almost missed that one. Oh, right. Yep. I am now been steamed. I know I added extra time, but if you were here with me, you'd want to check out all these holes too. And there's a creek of hot water. I bet in the wintertime with snow melt, that's pleasant to sit in. Well, the trail to that geyser is steep and every bit of 3/10 of a mile. And I think it's 6:45. And I want to go find a spot to camp that isn't surrounded by dead trees. I see a clearing over there. What are the chances I could find a spot up there? Well, I got a couple hours of daylight. I think I can find something better than this. Coming from that way. Coming up from that way. This looks doable, but in just 1/10 of a mile on the map, there's an actual mark for a meadow. I bet it's just right up there. I'll keep going up. I can always come back down. I dropped the pack to go look for a spot. I see several clear spots, and whereas you don't try to hurt the vegetation, I think they've got enough mule deer that I could lay down on some of it and it would be okay. But this one looks to be the least rocky of the bunch. I don't think I'll set up my tent. Probably just cowboy again. Trail's over there. And it's quiet. Except for the noise of this YouTuber jabbering away. Gonna take the pack and put it right over there. Lay out my blanket, and this will be it. To be in Lassen Volcanic Park, you have to have a bear-resistant container, and I have an Ursack. I'm not concerned about the bears so much. I'm worried about deer. My first run-in with deer, they took my trekking poles and drug them off, chewed up the straps to get the sweat out of them, and licked my head while I was cowboy camping. And then whenever I woke up, they almost kicked me in the head. So I will keep everything with sweat close to me. And, and it's about 7:30. I'm going to start editing the video for yesterday. Hopefully I can get the one for today too. I heard that whatever stomach bug was getting people in Chester, it's in Old Station 2. Johnny Appleseed, the hiker ahead of me, told me about it. So I will be very careful. It's 29.5 miles to Old Station. I don't think I'm going to do that tomorrow, but maybe I can get a big enough chunk of it done that I can get everything I need done and get out of there without having to camp. We'll see.